into myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the Fans Forum, Monday night, your chance to speak about Newcastle United and England. And what a weekend it's been. England progress with ease to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Face France, of course, at the weekend. 3-0. And everyone very, very happy indeed. Is it coming home? We'll find out in due course. But they're going to have to beat the World Cup champions at this moment, France. So it'll be interesting to see. Newcastle United, of course, have landed in Saudi and welcomed at the hotel in a fashion that we're getting a little bit used to seeing. Flowers and drinks handed out and everyone looking very happy. And obviously a big game coming up a little bit later in the week, this Thursday, with Newcastle kicking off 8 p.m. UK time and the game being televised on NUFC TV. So a chance to watch Newcastle play this week, which I think everybody on this channel will be itching to do. As we also know, TV does tend to take over the football fixtures, and this season again is no different. And a whole month of games have been changed. New kickoff times, but the dates have remained the same. Saturday, the 4th of February, Newcastle are at home now to West Ham with a 5:30 kickoff and the game being televised live on Sky. The following week, Saturday, the 11th of February, Bournemouth away. Newcastle once again live on Sky at the 5:30 kickoff. Saturday, the 18th of February, Liverpool take on Liverpool at home. That game is again a 5:30 kickoff on Sky Television. And to round it all off in February, Saturday, the 25th of February, Newcastle are at home to Brighton and Hove Albion. And it is a 12:30 kickoff this time on BT. That means that after the Carabao Cup tie, no fewer than 9 out of 10 League and Cup games have been picked for live TV transmission. Leeds at home on New Year's Eve, of course, is the exception to that. The second string, of course, are in action. Doesn't stop for the World Cup. Newcastle under-21s are going to play their latest Premier League Cup game. They're still looking for the first point in the competition. They've lost all of their first 3 games. The kickoff is at Whitley Park at 7 o'clock tonight, and the visitors are Sheffield United. In their last fixture, they won their home game against Newcastle, 2-1 last week. Players missing from the home squad tonight are Dylan Stevenson, Jay Turner-Cook, Joe White, Alex Murphy, Lewis Miley. And why are they missing? Well, they've flown out to Riyadh with the first team. A few gaps, of course, with the players away on international duty. A little bit of an update, of course, from St James's Park with regards to the friendly. The Rio Vallecano home game is now on public sale. So if you're keen to get up to St James's, maybe you gave up your season ticket and you haven't been able to get in, or you're somebody who would love to go and watch Newcastle again now, well, you've got a chance. You can go and see them play in the friendly. Rio Vallecano is public sale now, so get yourself onto nufc.co.uk and buy your tickets. If you were looking to go to the League Cup, you're out of luck. It's now sold out, as are the away fixtures at Leicester and Arsenal, and the home game against Leeds, all sold out now, folks. So yeah, the demand for tickets is absolutely incredible. And bigger stadium, yeah, I think it's something we've talked about on here. I think is certainly going to be needed. As I mentioned a little earlier as well, Al Hilal away, of course, on Thursday. And a lot of people will be looking forward to that. Quite a few Newcastle fans have travelled out there. We've got a little contingent there, of course, from NUFC Matters. Al Walid, of course, is a native of the country. Steve Hasty, Stu Penman, Mitch, all will be together in the Prince Faisal bin Fahd Stadium. Tickets are priced at 25 Saudi Riyals, which works out at around about £5.40. and you can get them from the home club. If you go to NUFC.com, they have very kindly put the link onto their website if you are intending to fly out there. I know there's a few YouTubers and podcasters also going out there. As I mentioned as well, just with the internationals, Nick Pope, Callum Wilson, Trippier, Cher, Bruno are all unavailable due to international duty. Dan Burn wasn't on the club flight, but apparently he is travelling separately to Riyadh. Not sure why that is the case. Those eagle-eyed of you who will have seen the players arrive will have noticed that Alexander Isak was prominent. Carl Darlow, Paul Dummett and Matt Ritchie will also feature. They're on the mend from their respective injuries. Emil Kraft is with the squad, but it's unclear at what stage of his recovery he is at. There was also photographs with Loris Karius present as well. The hosts, Al Hilal, had no less than 12 representatives in the Saudi Arabian squad who exited from the World Cup at the group stage. So one would imagine quite a few of them will be on display in the match on Thursday, which, as I mentioned earlier, will be broadcast live and free on NUFC TV. So well worth having a look. Other news surrounding the club, the ongoing rail threat is still ongoing. Mick Lynch and the guys obviously knocked back the latest offer. I've got to be honest, it was shambolic, and it looks like it's going to continue. It looks as if you're going to have problems getting to and from away games for a little bit more time to come. Best thing to do is continue to check with your websites, and as I said earlier, go on to NUFC.com as well. Well worth going on. FA Cup, of course, we mentioned it last week, has now been selected for TV. That will be played out on BBC One. Newcastle away to Sheffield Wednesday, of course. Kick-off is 6 o'clock, Saturday the 7th of January, and it will be broadcast live on BBC One and BBC iPlayer. And there was also a kick-off change since my last live show, which was that Arsenal away is now a 7:45 kick-off as opposed to an 8 o'clock kick-off. So 15-minute change. Reasons why, unclear. But as I say, the TV people really are just a law unto themselves, and they don't really care much about football fans, do they? Let's face it. Okay, this is the Fans Forum. It's your chance to come on and have a say. And first up, Darren. As usual, Darren, you were first in the queue. Kevin was a close second, but you're in, Darren. I hope you're doing well, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I can't wait for the football to come back. Like, I missed watching the tune playing. England, I've been watching the World Cup game, but England's going to get a test on Saturday. But it'll be a hard game if we win. I personally can't say it, but it'll be a hard game on a Saturday league. But
I did like the confidence. I did like the confidence of Declan Rice, because I listened to his interview and they went, got to ask you, you've got France coming up and Mbappe. You're thinking about Mbappe. He says they should be thinking about us. And I thought, well, that was a great response. There was no arrogance in it. He was 100% right. From my perspective, we're the form team, really. We're scoring goals, and with the exception of the USA game, which, for his own reasons, he went in and played in a certain formation, played in a certain way. He's got it right. Southgate's got it right. Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I just genuinely feel, it's a great opportunity. France aren't just a one-man team, but they do rely heavily on goals with Mbappe. And if England can look at Mbappe and mark him out the game, there's no doubt in my mind we could take them all away. We've got to beat them, though. If we beat them, I think we're strong favourites, Darren.
Yeah, totally, Steve. Like, I don't mind getting beat, but can't have a go. Don't miss him back. Just go and have a go. If we get beat, fair dues. But I just the thought that, like, Harry Kane is not in the boxes to go to, and I scored a goal yesterday. But mind you, they keep on questioning about his position. But it's going to be a good game. He was wrong, but I do agree with Declan Rice. They got to be afraid of us. But as long as England back themselves up and go and have a go at them instead of just sitting back, that's the only thing I said.
I mean, ultimately for me, Newcastle first and foremost, England second, but you can't help but get carried away. People do get carried away. And like I said last week, you know, when the win, it's it's coming home, and then you get a bad result, and it's we're useless, etc. It's a fickle side of football fans. But yeah, look, it was good. It was a positive. I enjoyed the game yesterday. Senegal weren't up to much. I've got to be honest. The first 25 minutes was awkward. It was, they got through a couple of times, and it looked as if it was going to be a tough game. But yeah, we've got so many players who can open a defense and slot the ball home. And I just, if we're going to win it, this is the year, Darren. If we've got to really, we really got to push it this time round. Could be a few people like Henderson, etc., won't get back. Now, yeah, he had a lot of criticism, Darren. People, Southgate was getting criticised for playing Henderson. But I genuinely think it was the right decision.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought he had a good game yesterday. He scored an opening goal. I had him to score. I took a bet. I had Henderson had a shot and goal.
Yeah.
So I thought he had a good game. Henderson, personally, I thought he played the Boston midfield after the dodge ball. The first 30 minutes wasn't great, but what was scored, he kind of dominated, didn't he? I thought he ran the show. Midfield was up and down the pitch, never stopped running about. So I thought he had a good game. Me personally, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And yeah, disappointing for me that Trippier's found himself on the bench and Kyle Walker's got ahead of him. I'm still not quite sure how that's happened at all. But he didn't have the greatest of games against the USA. Trippier, I've got to be honest, but Southgate picks the team, and like I say, if you keep getting the results and Southgate's getting it right, that's it. You can't complain. Somebody in the chat just said, I see Wilson's got a knock. I've got to be honest, I haven't seen that today, but I've been very busy today. I haven't had an opportunity to look at everything. So if he has got a knock, I'm presume it's not too serious. Otherwise, it would be big news. So let's just hope that he has pulled through. Newcastle, of course, have landed in Saudi. Darren, you excited to at least get a chance to see a game on Thursday?
Yeah, I'm looking forward. It's just good to see the Black Whites play again, because it feels strange this time of year having the game on, not watching Newcastle play. It's still abnormal, isn't it? But another 2 weeks be back to normal, and thank God, and get behind the Black and Whites. Hopefully it'll be good to watch them play on Thursday. To be fair, how they do across there. Get Alexander Isak back in the team and get some match fitness in him, because he needs it. Like you say, and then get back and come back home and then train again, and then to a friendly, then the cup game, and then Leeds, and then the games are quick and fast on after that.
Yeah, I mean, they will come thick and fast. I mean, ultimately as well for Newcastle, I made the announcement there at the start of the show, but we've got all of our games in February now on the TV. Does that pile of pressure on?
If it doesn't, yes and no. It just shows you how far we've come. Because under Steve Bruce, we will be the last team to be on TV, wouldn't we? And it shows you how far the club's come, the style we're playing. So it's probably a good thing for the owners and for people watching Newcastle. We're loving it, So it's a good thing. I think the positive thing for Newcastle personally, and then especially in the transfer window, players might want to come now and see how good it's going up here.
What do you think about, the break in the season? We've all said we're feared it a little bit. We're halfway through now. Still got a little bit to go before the end of this World Cup, and Newcastle get back into proper action. Do you think Newcastle can take off where they left off?
Yeah, I can see why not, Steve. I can't say why not, but it'll be a bit not strange, but get back to normality, because we've got players away in international, like Bruno. I think Bruno's going to be there to the end. And who else? Bruno, England players should be back. Well, all depends how far they go, but I think they'll be back rather quick and sooner, personally. But it'll be tricky for them to come back after, because the high intensity, the morale would have been broken a little bit. You know what I mean? After 2-3 weeks off. When you're winning games, you want games quickly, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of see why not. Hopefully, anyhow, now he knows what he's doing. He keep morale there. That's what they want to wait for. Get morale going still. Get the banter going. Come back to normality. And hopefully we'll come back to winning ways.
Transfer window is going to open, mate. Is there anybody in the World Cup that you've seen that you fancy? Anybody you think, oh God, I wouldn't mind seeing him in a black and white shirt?
Yeah, what's a Holland player I've seen we've been linked with? What's it called? can't remember his name. To be the fuel players, so I wouldn't mind in the black and white top, like just for midfield really we need. Because you heard a couple of speculation. Fraser wants to be away now, and he wants to leave, doesn't he? That's what I've heard. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, that was doing the rounds at the weekend. I mean, would you be disappointed to see him go? You know, I mean, he's not really featured a great deal. Murphy was another one I heard over the weekend.
Yes, no, I wouldn't be disappointed, Steve, because if we want to go that next level, we need something better on him to go on the pitch. Just, do you know what I mean? Like, and I heard ESM apparently he wants to be away as well. So I'll drop him off for you wherever he wants to go. Like, but I wouldn't be disappointed. Fraser going. I think I can't see Murphy going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's at home on a new 5-year contract, isn't he? So I can't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Murphy goes. But yeah, Fraser, you know, if he's not getting a game, you know, maybe he feels it's time to move on. You know, and I think he would go with our blessing. He's not really hit the ground running. He's played a little bit of a part, I guess, when he's featured. But I don't think we would be too disappointed to see Fraser go.
I think the Cells might go as well because I know he's captain and all that, but he's got to be wanting to play surely. And he knows he's not going to get in defence anytime soon on the Botman and Shawsey and Dan Byrne. He's got to know he's not going to be playing short anytime soon. So I think he might want to go as well.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think there'll be a few players who'll be looking at their options now, and if they get an opportunity to go elsewhere, then they may well go off. Whilst you were talking there, I was just having a look, and he's just got Callum Wilson has had a little setback. He's going to miss. Well, he missed the England training session just due to a minor injury setback. So he just sat out training. It hasn't really highlighted what the problem could be or what it is. But ultimately, you know, he's done his reputation no harm at all in this World Cup, to be honest, with that wonderful ball that he pulled back, the unselfish work that he did, let's put it that way. So yeah, look, we wish him all the best. I've got to be honest, we are more concerned about him playing for Newcastle than we are for England. Darren Kowal became the youngest person to play in a World Cup. Beating a record, I think, which was last held by Pelé, who, our thoughts go with Pelé and his family because he's receiving, the news broke of the weekend that he's receiving end of care treatment, although he asked everybody for calm and etc. But yeah, getting back to that, good to see somebody, like Darren Kowal getting that opportunity. And when he travelled back home, he had a Newcastle top on.
I seen that. It was class, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He done all right. He had a chance to make it 2-2, and it was a hard chance to take, but he done all right. I thought he'd come on, done Australia proud, and himself proud, and they say he looks a good player. The question you got, can he play? Can he play now? Can he? Because he's played in 3 international games. He needs the clearance.
It's interesting. It's interesting, but it's a good question, and I don't know the answer. But I would imagine that he probably can. That was the talk of that. But yeah, he didn't do himself any harm, and a lot of people were very, very impressed by him as well. People were watching him, and he got a lot of plaudits. And I know they went out, which is unfortunate for them. But he did get a lot of plaudits, didn't he? He looks a player.
Yeah, like the possibility if he can play, do you get rid of Chris Woods? Can he go now? Do you know what I mean? If he can officially play now, option to get rid of Chris Wood and the January transfer went in, free of just the option for them. Because Ajax and Wilson, and then you play like Qual. It's great. It's top option to have. Do you know?
Well, he was linked. I think he was linked with Leeds.
Watford, wasn't it?
Leeds this weekend, a potential return to Leeds. I think that was what I'd seen. But yeah, that's another one. That's another opportunity that he could be on his way to Watford. So and don't forget, we essentially had interest in one of their players, didn't we? Who we may well go back in for. So from my perspective, again, that's another one to watch over the transfer window. But the cup game's coming up as well. We've got Bournemouth coming up to look forward to. Newcastle will hopefully take that one, fairly seriously. And again, TV. We're all 4 games on TV in February, but we've also got a cup game televised against Sheffield Wednesday, Darren.
I know it's a great thing, isn't it, Steve? Like, it's just demand for tickets now are absolutely mental. I was trying to get my mates tickets for the Bournemouth Cup game, but they were gone 30 minutes. They were set out. That's how hard it is now. If you're not the first 1,000, 2,000 in the queue, you can't get a ticket. It's crackers,
Thanks to Paul Tweedy on Twitter. He says, "Evening, Steve. Wilson's got a slight strain injury, but he's in good spirits." There's also BT. Thanks for that. Callum has a new muscle strain. So as long as it's not anything too serious, we can cope with that, can't we, Darren?
Yeah. Long as it's just a little thing. It's that. As long as you come back healthy from the World Cup, and gets back in the team, and then we'll just pick up where we left off against Chelsea.
Yeah, Sutty chips in with rumours coming out on social media. Some players being looked at by other clubs like Fraser and Wood. Do you think the owners have got their eye on incoming players in those positions? And if so, who? It's a good question, Sutty. I think Newcastle will still be looking at those players that we talked about in August. Sorry, the likes of Maddison. I still think will be high on Newcastle's thought list. I mean, watching Jude Bellingham in the World Cup so far, God, I'd love to get a hold of him, Darren. I think it'd be a great signing. But yeah, I still think they will look, at the strike force and say we need to improve on that. But I don't think they'll do that in this window. I think they'll be banking on Isak coming back and repaying some of his big transfer fee. Yeah,
because he's been very unfortunate to be injured this long, but get him back, get him fit, and then Wilson's got competition up front as well, which you need in the squad. And then if Fraser wants to go, you can go, and then can get at least two midfield players, what we do need. Maddison could be one, and you need a creative midfield on the left or the right. Because I think we need probably two signings, but if one goes, 3 signings possible. That's what I think.
Got to ask you about the breaking news at Coventry today. No surprise, Mike Ashley has broken his promise by evicting Coventry City from the stadium.
Did you expect anything else, Mr. Ashley? Did you?
Honest to God. I mean, this guy just he just loves upsetting football supporters, doesn't he?
Oh, he's known for it. He loves doing stuff like that, doesn't he? I'm glad he's not in charge of us anymore. You'll have sports direct signs all over the stadium shortly. So he's typical Ashley, isn't he? So you would probably sell the land for houses or something and make a fortune.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I'm not sure whether he can sell the land. I've got to be honest. But if there's a way of upsetting people, then Mike Ashley will find it. There is no doubt about that. Anything else you want to discuss tonight, mate?
That's it, pal. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to have you on, Darren. As always, mate. Speak to you soon, pal.
Right.
Take care.
Ta-ra, mate. Ta-ra.
Good to have Darren on. Just a couple of questions coming in. Steve Middlemas says, "C. Wilson's got a knock again." Yeah, just discussed that, mate. Lawrence says, "Evening, Steve. Thought on the delusion that is Man United fans. I'm thinking our owners will sell to buy that rank club. I find it hilarious." I mean, they're living in cloud cuckoo land, aren't they? They think the PIF would sell Newcastle and then suddenly buy Newcastle, by Manchester United. I just don't understand why they would even consider going down that avenue. They bought Newcastle as a project, and the project is just beginning. So yeah, they can they can kiss goodbye to that idea. BT says, as a consequence of being kicked back by Man United in the first place in 2018, was there any disbelief among Saudi officials having bought Newcastle when they really wanted to buy Manchester United? I just think they got a better deal all around. I mean, when Newcastle were being, messing them around with regards to, potentially buying the club, they were looking elsewhere, and they looked at Chelsea, but just the actual cost of these other clubs put them off. So they've got a bargain. Let's face it, with Newcastle, and we're happy, they're happy, and me personally, I just think that Manchester United fans need to look elsewhere. Jack D, I hope so, mate. I really do. It's a $1 million question. His price as each month goes by, is coming down, Jack. That's the thing to remember. As his contract starts to wind down, then, you know, we will get him a little bit cheaper each time. But we won't be the only club interested in him. I would imagine that you'll have the likes of Chelsea, Tottenham sniffing around Madison. It's whether Trippier, Pope, and Wilson have managed to persuade him at the World Cup. That's what we'll all be hoping for anyway, Jack. But thanks for your question. Okay, I'm going to have a quick ad break, and then I'll be bringing in Kevin. A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting off with Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. The website is www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks also to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Find them at thegohd.com. Thanks also to 3 Properties, and they specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give them a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Big thanks also to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickys.co.uk, or order some of the sauces by calling 01768 210 102 or emailing info@mrvickys.co.uk. Thanks also to Blowhole Brewery, and their cans are vast and in the shape of the old Newcastle United strips from the 1990s. Bonnie Blonde, Geordie Juice, and Fog of the Tyne. Some great beers. Get yourself to blowholebrewery.co.uk to order your cans in for the festive period. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner, hit the like button and click share. Please join the channel as well to support us. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to join the channel, you can use this QR code, or just go to nufcmatters.com and look for membership pack. If you join in that particular way, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw. We also give you a free car sticker. All you need to do is subscribe to the show and then email john@nufcmatters.com to claim it. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. Go to that website and make a virtual donation today. A couple of events coming up. Paul Gascoigne is at the Fed on the 4th of December. Contact the Fed in Dunstan and Gateshead for more information. And Peter Beardsley, 20 tickets left for this, is at St. Dom's Catholic Club in Newcastle on the 10th of February next year. Contact St. Dom's via their contact details on their website or on Twitter. If you're looking for a Christmas present for a Newcastle fan, you can go to badboysbooks.net. You could order a copy of Enemy from the Bender Squad to the Gremlins, or the last remaining copies of Black or White, No Grey Areas by Lee Clark and Will Scott. If you're looking for a Christmas jumper for your night out, go to nufcmatters.com and get your Bruno jumper today. Bill says NUFC have potential. Manchester United doesn't. And Steve says, what will the owners give the players if they win something? They just got a Rolex watch. Dear me, I'd get a bag of chocolate money and a Casio watch off my boss. I remember when the post office did crest seeds for postmen for their Christmas bonus once. Yeah, crest seeds. Dear me, I haven't heard of them since school. Okay, Kevin, how are you, mate?
Good to see you. How are you?
Very good, mate. Now, look, where are you tonight? Because I can see a whole selection of Newcastle United tops behind you.
It's raining outside, so normally on the back deck and making everybody jealous back home, so I've had to get in the office and in the dungeon of the basement. So if it's a bit echoey, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about that, mate. It's nice to see there's not just us who get bad weather anyway, mate. But good to see you. I just want to run this before we get chatting. Howe admitted that we played a behind closed doors training game with Middlesbrough last Friday, saying he was pleased with the run out without revealing the score. BT, he's just a good manager. Why would he even want to tell you what the score was between them and Middlesbrough? But yeah, Kevin, World Cup, maybe we'll start with that. England, is it coming home, mate?
Yes and no. I didn't even see the game. I was working Sunday, so I was trying to check my phone in between coaching and stuff, and me and my boss, who's another English lad, and then somebody told me on the sideline, "Oh, you winning 3-0." I was like, so I was just dropping it into the United States that they got knocked out just the day prior. Yeah. So, I just had to give them a bit of crap about it. But no, it's again, like it's tournament football. A win's a win. I watched a little bit of the highlights last night when I was in bed or whatever, and just, it looked more on the front foot a little bit. Obviously, I didn't see the whole thing, so I can't comment on how the actual game played out. I thought Pickford made a good save with his short arm, which kept us in the game, and probably a pivotal moment in the first half. And then we go down the other end and score within 10 minutes or so of that happening. So, that's unfortunately for the Senegalese, you got to put your chances away in the last stages of tournaments. That's just how it works. And I watched the Japan game just a minute ago, and it's exactly the same. They worked the socks up, but they didn't get anything for it. So, I think the quality of the England team especially, we're going up against France. Yeah, it is what it is. But I think we'll not go negative, but like others have said, there'll be a negative, cautious mindset going into it of what the quality they have. And I didn't hear Declan Rice comments from what you said is, well, what about us? We got good players. I mean, maybe on the whole, maybe better than them. I don't know. But again, it's the last 16. You never know. Like Darren said, it was just give it a go. There's nothing to lose at this point. Even Stephen Kenny in terms of Newcastle United talking about failure. Yeah, you're not going to get there. It looks as a failure. Of course it is, because you didn't make the final. You didn't make the dance. So again, it's one of them. I don't think it'll come home. I wish it will, just so we see a trophy lifted. But at the same time, I'm sitting on the fence a little bit. I'm more worried about Newcastle United and what's going on with us. And England's just a filler in until we get back going on Boxing Day.
Positive mental attitude goes a long way, though, and that's what I was meaning with that Declan Rice comment. That's the kind of mentality you want in a team. It's the kind of mentality Newcastle United players have got. It's the kind of mentality that England clearly have at the moment. And look, they've got to go now and beat France. If they beat France, it's a real statement. And they could win it. They could genuinely win it. But it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. And for me personally, I think there's a few of these players they're in the last chance saloon. It happens every year because there's a 4-year gap between World Cups generally. So some of these players won't get a chance again. The likes of Henderson won't be at the next World Cup, and they will want to go out on a high. He's won everything domestically and everything in Europe that you can possibly want to win as a club player. He will want to add the World Cup to his growing CV, and fair play to him if he does do that. John Ball comes in with a question for you and I. Says, do you think that Walker is the right man to deal with Mbappe? Personally think he's been poor in the last 2 games and called ball watching for the Senegal chance last night. It's interesting because I mentioned it slightly earlier, John. Good to see you, by the way, the other day, mate. Short but brief, but good to see you. But yeah, I genuinely think that's his biggest issue, Kevin. I think that Walker and Trippier, 2 completely different players, but he's opted for Walker in the last 2 games. I didn't think Trippier had a bad first game, but I didn't think he did that well in the second. So I get why he's been dropped. But that's the problem, isn't it? He's not spoilt for choice in that right back area. And I guess a lot of people will also look at Maguire as well. I mean, there was one incident, and I know you didn't see the game, but in that opening 15 minutes, Stones and Maguire were, they were made to look a bit daft by the Senegalese centre forward. And I thought, Christ, if that had been Mbappe, we would have been 1-0 down there. So there is that thought, you know what I mean? But what John's question, do you think Walker's the right man to stop Mbappe?
Just on a pace level, probably, yeah. defensively, not so much. So again, it's better the devil you know. Which one do you want? Do you want to deal with the pace? Do you want to deal with the threat? I just thinking about it there. I can see Southgate going to a 3. I can see him do that. I can see him going Walker is the right side. I can see Johnstone central of a 3 and Maguire and maybe Kieran Trippier playing like as a wing back and Luke Shaw as a wing back. And that's what my previous comment was about the cautiousness of it and the threat they have is, you know, like Steve Bruce idea, we'll just sit in and see what happens as the game plays out, because I think Trippier's a better defender than Kyle Walker, but Kieran Trippier hasn't got pace. So again, it's do you put the two together in a sense on the right side to deal with because he generally floats out left. So it's a difficult one, but it's a nice problem to have, but it's a conundrum that obviously that's why he's the England national manager and we're sitting here discussing it and debating about it, you know. But I think he'll go that road. I think he'll go as a 3 or a 5, whichever way you want to look at it, and maybe compact the midfield, and maybe play Foden in and around Harry Kane as a 2, or play Foden as a 10, whichever. Again, that's just my opinion. That's what I think. That's what he'll do. That's what I would probably do, just to nullify certain areas of the field and isolate Mbappe in a sense to where he doesn't get the ball and things like that. So I will go with both. Just thinking off the top of my head, I'll go with both, to be fair, and just goes a 3, because I think Kyle Walker's played there previously and done pretty well because his pace allows them, if they go over the top or they play in front and get in between the lines, then they can recover quickly. But again, you can see that you can keep the play in front. Once Kyle Walker gets turned around, then he has to rely on his pace. Kieran Trippier will hopefully stop that ball initially as a better defender and be narrow and tucked in. So again, it's an interesting one. So we'll just see what Southgate decides to do. But again, I think it'll be on the more cautious side based on their main threat, but they've got other quality players in and around the field, you know. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, just talking about Dan Burn before, he will be joining the group in the next day or two, saying a period of illness was the reason he did not travel on Sunday. Thanks for that, BT. Geordie Jedi says, do you think Howe will be considering a formation change and play Isak and Wilson together? Good question, Geordie Jedi. Kev, I'll let you answer that one first. What's your thoughts on that?
No, mate, I don't think he will. I think he'll keep as is, but I just think he'll change players. Like I've said in the past, I think he'll go with maybe, you know, Maxi hasn't played. Yes, we've played Murphy out on the left side, but I can see him playing in a wider area in some way. Like, again, you could swap Miggy to go over to the left side. You can play Isak on the right side. There's, again, multiple options, but I think not similar players, but Wilson's one of those who brings people into play. Obviously, we haven't seen enough of Isak, but I don't think he's that type of player. I think he's the type of player where he runs off of players and runs with players 1v1s and creates problems from a wider area than I would think centrally. Even though he did it against Liverpool, but it was, you know, needs was a must, so he had to do that type of job. But the goals that he scored, he peeled off defenders and ran them behind versus bringing players in. So I think it'll be a wider area in some capacity. Don't know either side. I think Miggy's done fantastically well on the right side, and Stephen Kennedy hit the nail on the head, and I was nodding when he said it. He found a home right side of a 3. But again, he could do that. He's left-footed, so stick him on the left side. It'll be balanced. And Isak's could play both feet, but at the same time, I wouldn't put them together. I would put yes, but no, in a sense. Put Isak in a wide area, but then make him play off of him with some front 3. I wouldn't change the formation.
Interesting, because, you know, I think he's going to have no option but to at some point. But again, we know Isak can play wide as well. Yeah. Talk today, you know, raising its head about ASM potentially, you know, heading towards the exit door. Maybe that could be the position that he ends up in. He could end up on the right, wide right. He could end up just behind, you know, whoever's up top. It's a nice problem to have. Let's just hope Isak stays injury free and gets the opportunity to prove to us that he's worth that 60 million plus. You know?
I think with his injury that he had, you know, the muscle issues that he's had, I think again it'll be he brought in slowly. Like with the Liverpool thing, we had Wilson out and Wood wasn't you know, at the time wasn't pulling up any trees, and it was an obvious one for him to put in there based on his height and based on his pace, what he showed. But I think further down the road, he'll bring him in slowly and integrate him into maybe you have to go 4-4-2. Maybe he has to change it horses for courses depending on who you play. Then he might have to. You know, again, it's one of those ones which is a wonderful problem to have, and in an attacking sense, which is not what we've always said for the past 15 years.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Yeah, Jude Bellingham getting a shout out in the chat. Tom Dixon says, I'd like to go for Jude Bellingham. He'd be a great sign-up in Newcastle. David says, I wanted Jude when the takeover went through, but maybe it's a stretch too far now. He's getting linked with Real Madrid, Kev. I can't see, you know, unless he's got a craving to coming back to England. If Real Madrid come in for him, I can't see him wanting to go anywhere else but there.
Yeah, once the Galacticos come calling, it's, you know, that's pretty much signed, sealed, delivered to go. Somehow they'll generate funds to get it. But, you know, if it was me and Real Madrid, I'm not disrespecting Newcastle United, it's my hometown club, but I would go to Real Madrid just because it's Real Madrid. You know, you're going to play for one of the best teams in the world. So, yeah, I think that ship sailed. Yeah, I agree. And you know, let's just concentrate on what we've got and trying to bring in, you know, maybe a midfielder in the January window. And I just don't think they'll go mad. I think they'll keep the big spending for the summer, but I think they will strengthen, and maybe one or two of these other players go out. Darren mentioned before you came on, I think you heard him about Ryan Fraser potentially leaving. Jacob Murphy was also mentioned. Chris Wood potentially. Can you see any of them going? I mean, Eddie Howe has come out quite defensive about Chris Wood, saying that he doesn't want to let him leave. I wouldn't. Fraser, yes, I would, just to generate again some income coming in. I don't think he's been the player that he was in Bournemouth. Chris Wood probably summer. Just get us through to the end of the year. You know, again, there's no sentiment in football. Thanks very much. We appreciate what you've done. You've worked hard, whatever. But move them on in the summer, then reevaluate that option. You know, I know not personally, but Paul Dummett, I would try and get him out the door, and then through in the January to the summer window, I would look at a left fullback. I would look at maybe another right fullback. I would look at and strengthen those two areas, because I don't think we're not strong, but the depth is not where we have around the other parts of the pitch. But yeah, I would bring in, in terms of Murphy, I would keep a hold of him. I mean, he just runs his socks off. He runs himself into the ground. And like they say, like, I'm not a big fan of him. I don't think the end product's there, because he just, you know, as you know, he hits the bar or post all the time. But, you know, I think he gives his all, and that's all what we can really ask. Again, at the end of the, you know, so we'll see what happens in the summer with him, because again, we can't have the sentiment where, yes, that you've got us this far, but we need other players who are better than you to take us to that next level. So I think we'll see what happens between January and the summer is going to be interesting. I think just maybe, again, I would love Madison in the squad. I'd love to have him January. I wouldn't break the bank for him, but I would, you know, based on value, based on deal, if it's the right thing to do, yeah, go for him. Or do you go get another young up-and-coming centre midfielder, defensive midfielder, you know, for the Longstaff, is it, you know, he's done really well. John Joe Shelby, is he going to be out the door? So you got to look at it in that sense of where, you know, with Bruno, I'll push him further forward, where Joe Linton essentially plays, and I'll bring in another holding centre midfielder or something like that. But again, that's decisions what, you know, the board are going to make. Dan Ashworth, Eddie Howe got to sit down with Steve Nixon and see where they really want to go and what direction we're looking at. You know, do we want to push on? Do we want to finish in the fourth, or do we want to push higher this year, January, and actually go for it? I mean, we just don't know, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be quite methodical in the way we spend. I think we spent really well, really cleverly and intelligently to get us even into third. I mean, who would have thought it? But yeah, that's what I'll do. Again, you just got to see how they come back from this mini preseason. Are they going to hit the ground running again? Then again, it's just reevaluation constantly all the time of what they're bringing to the table every day.
Yeah, we don't. You get nothing for being third in January. Yeah, let's remember.
No, exactly, mate. No.
Let's remember that. I think that's
Oh,
what
yes.
that's a message me and you were both putting out. Gary Milligan says, "Is anyone else sick and tired of some media outlets having a dig at Newcastle? I see today's Daily Mirror are saying that PIF could now sell Newcastle United and then buy Manchester United. More chance knitting fog. Hasn't impressed Gary that. I did talk about it with Darren there slightly earlier. I mean, it's ludicrous, isn't it? That
Yeah.
they're even suggesting that."
I mean, I wouldn't, you buy a club for 300 whatever £million and you're making money on it already. Why would you go and buy a business for billions? And you're just stagnated at that point. You can't really do anything. And, I'm hearing a lot of stuff over here where it's, going to be American investment again in some way, shape or form or something like that, to where they're going to, or, you mentioned saying a lot of investors collectively to buy it. But again, now, it's just ludicrous. It's just the red tops giving it, plus it's a Manchester newspaper, so they've got to have a dig at us. They can't help themselves. There's a large smell of a hint of jealousy, I would say.
I thought you were going to say something else there when you said it's a large smell.
No, I'll keep it to the family show.
Do you think that Newcastle will approach Borussia Mönchengladbach for Marcus Thuram, as he could leave on a cut price deal in January, or sign him on a free transfer at the end of the season? Thuram's a name which keeps cropping up in the chat. Lots of people get excited by the thought of him pulling on a black and white shirt. Is that one that you would fancy or not?
I don't even know. Haven't heard that name. Don't know who he is. I don't watch German football.
You're the same as me, really. I've got mates who watch every single kind of football. Going anything that's football, they love watching it. But he's a French, obviously, French professional footballer. His international career, he's gone through the ranks: 17s, 18s, 19s, 20s, 21.
I just trust the process and the powers that be. If Eddie Howe likes him and he improve our squad even further, then who am I going to argue with? I mean, the people that they brought in to improve us this far has been second to none. So hey, if he's good enough or better than what we have, why not? Bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, you go through his track record. He's been a bit of a slow starter, but this season he's managed to score 10 goals in 15 Bundesliga games, and that's his personal best. So he's on the increase. The season before that, he failed to score in his first 15 games, but then he only scored three goals the rest of the season. I mean, he's not prolific, but he's exciting, and he can play as a forward or he can play as a left winger. So you can see why ultimately, there's a little bit of excitement about him. He's 25 years of age. He's a Borussia Mönchengladbach. And as I say, he's a full French international, 7 caps so far. So, as I say, not prolific, 96 appearances, 31 goals for Borussia Mönchengladbach. But if they're buying him as a creator rather than a scorer, then, maybe he could come in and, if they get rid of ESM, they're going to need a replacement. Let's put it that
exactly.
way.
Again, that's like I said earlier, again, it's the continual oversight and player development track is probably what they have and what the outputs are and what every facet what Eddie Howe's brought in. So again, if he's one of those players who can create versus chip in with the on goal, whatever, that like a Miggy or whatever. But again, it's the output as a wide player from creating chances, and I don't think ASM does that. I think it's a one-man show in that final third, and that's just my opinion. I played wide right all my life, so I can understand. I was the one lobbing it in from my mates to score type of thing. So I was a traditional winger, and that's what I was told constantly. So create chances. If you score, great. But that's your job. But if the output's high in terms of your assists and stuff, that's what I look at versus goals from a wide player, etc.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. But it's an interesting name. It's one that keeps on going. We'll wait and see. And I think ASM's blotted his copybook on a few occasions at Newcastle. And I think if they can get a replacement in, I don't think too many people will be too disappointed to see the Frenchman leave, but we're selling one Frenchman for another Frenchman. ESM will be kept. I think Fraser will go first, says Blue Rhythm Boy. I don't think ESM will go in January. Definitely not. But I think he may be up for grabs in the summer with Newcastle looking to improve. Sutty says, do you think we'll have an announcement on new sponsors while the lads are away? I see STC on sponsor board, and we are already in a short-term contract with Saudi Airlines. I don't think it will be as early as that. I think the summer we will see new sponsors announced. We're getting lots of little commercial deals done, but I think the big one will be announced maybe it's May or June. That is that's my thoughts anyway, Kevin. Do you think I'm far of the mark on that? Or do you think I'm on the money?
No, I think you're spot on, to be fair. Mid back end April into May towards the end of the season. Just as a excitement for the fans going into the summer over the transfer window and saying, hey, this is what we've got lined up, this is what's going to happen. It's going to have to be very strategic how Eels and the commercial directors and the club themselves do these deals, and it's very hush-hush. We just don't know. We know the rumblings in the background. We know what's kind of sort of happening, whatever, but at the same time, it's no, let them do the job. Let them get these deals, get them done. Then once they feel comfortable of announcing it, then that's up to them. We don't have to. We're not clamoring, in my opinion, for money. We're not clamoring for that. It's just getting the deal done first, and then once that happens, well, we'll just go with what they decide and be excited for the future. Versus, is this happening? Is this happening? Is it 5 million or whatever? It doesn't matter as long as we get the business done. They could have millions like Man United back in the day. Training ground sponsors, tractor sponsors, like we said. So it's just let them do the job and be patient. And as a Newcastle fan, I know that's hard because we want an instant gratification. We want to know now. But at the same time, it's, again, let Darren Neal's do his job. He just knows what he's doing. He's worked in one of the biggest markets in the United States over here to do commercial deals and get them done without really saying anything. And like, oh, where did they come from? What happened with that? Then it all of a sudden it just drops. And it's like, oh, wow. When you get big sponsorships, and Mercedes-Benz joins in, and American Family Insurance, which is a big company over here. And so it's just very hush-hush, very quiet. Just let them do the job.
Yeah, exactly. Blue Rhythm Boy says Bellingham to Liverpool seems possible given the way that he went on with Jordan Henderson. I would agree. Gary says, Sky breaking news. Sunderland are chasing Bellingham. Spokesperson for Bellingham says, sorry, Linda Bellingham's too busy treading the boards. Very good, Gary. Good to see the arrival of the team in Saudi, but it was strange them all carrying bouquets of flowers. Well, Amanda seemed to quite like it, David, to be honest. She enjoys a bouquet. I saw some people saying was Eddie Howe necking tequila or Jaegers as he arrived. Where's Mitch and Stu?
Yeah, we need confirmation of them to see if it actually was.
I think it was just a Saudi tea. I think that's what it was. Something quite refreshing that they have. Neymar starting for Brazil tonight. I'm not sure whether Bruno is, but
he's on the bench.
He's on the bench. Yeah, it was talk earlier on of him potentially starting, but I didn't think they would. But yeah, Neymar and Brazil should be interesting. Getting into the business end of the World Cup. How far do you think? How far do you think we can go then, Kev? I mean, Japan, Croatia finished 1-1 after extra time. Croatia 3-1 penalties, 3-1. But how far can England go?
The biggest one, obviously, you got to beat the world champions. You got to go and take them off their perch and see. And plus, it's England, France. So hopefully they should be up for it. But I think if we get through France, I'm not going to say final because I'd love to get to a final, but I think semi-final. If we get through France, I think it'll be. Obviously, depending on how the game goes, again, it's tournament football. Do they go full 120 minutes in penalties? So you got to take that into account. But yeah, I'd love to win it. I mean, I'd love to see there's a romanticism, with one of my footballing heroes with Pele. Like you mentioned, he's not in too good of a shape, but he's one of the icons of the game. But it would be nice just to see an England-Brazil final and a bit of romanticism, even though the Brazilians might go win it for him. But I could just say that. But again, it's just the approach of the coach. We'll say that. I'll put it in that phrase.
England to beat France, Steve says Blue Rhythm Boy. Yeah, I think they can beat them.
Why not?
And for the same reasons that Declan Rice has said, I just genuinely think that England are not to be taken lightly. They should be feared. They're the top scorers in the tournament so far. And, you know, for the exception of that USA game, there's been bright spells in all of the games. And I think that I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be frightened of Mbappe. Not at all.
No, great player, but at the same time, he can't run at 90 million miles an hour when he's hobbling. I'll just say that. You know, and just play England, be who we are. And I would make it, and as a mentality again, look, we're not better than you, but we've got a deep squad of great players. So why can't we make it like a Premier League game? Why can't we just be all action, all, you know, competitive, a little bit nasty, a little bit ugly against them? But at the same time, play football because we've got the players to do it. But again, make it like a Premier League game or not a European game, not like a Champions League game because that suits the French. Make it like a Premier League game. Get in the face, make life difficult, kick them, do whatever you need to do. You know, both ball and all the rest of it. But you know, just be competitive. Play on the front foot. Again, what's there to lose? Why not? Why not? Why can't we not go and beat France? Why can't we not go to the final? Why can't we beat Brazil in the final? It is very unknowns, but at the same time, just give it a go. The country I would, as an Englishman and as a fan of just the game generally, even if I was a neutral watching it, I want to see a good game of football. It's the last 16 of the World Cup. You don't want to see a ball draw. Let's just have a go.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, mate. I just genuinely think that, you know, England should give it a go. And Blue Rhythm Boy says, was Southgate vindicated, you know, with his team selection? People just need to trust him a bit more. I couldn't agree more. I genuinely believe that, you know, he's done a cracking job, and he's had more wins now than Sir Alf Ramsey in the big tournament football. So I mean that tells you all you need to know. For me, Bruno on the bench for Brazil, yes, Tom, and we've just got to keep Mbappe quiet on Saturday night, and I think we'll beat France. You know, I think a lot of people will be expecting that game to be quite cagey at the start, but believe you me, whoever scores first, I think both. If England score first, France will come at them, and vice versa. I think that could be the humdinger that everybody expected against Senegal. Could be a 5-goal thriller, that game. It really could be. It could be a ball draw, get the penalties. And you know, and we know what happens in penalties, but you never know. That's the beauty of football. Mbappe is a worry. ASM and Willock had Walker on toast at St James's Park. Can Walker cope with Mbappe? He's not playing him by himself, Blue Rhythm Boy. That's what I'd say. And I understand people's nervousness about it, but it's a team game, and the way to stop Mbappe is stop the supply line as well. Exactly. So you know, maybe we're worried a little bit too much about Mbappe. Man U and Man City players have kept Mbappe quiet in the past, and they are in the squad. Let them fear us. That's the spirit, Jody Toomper Life. Can't see Walker dealing with Mbappe. He couldn't cope with the ESM. Different games, different occasions, David. They'll bring out different qualities in people. And I wouldn't like Maguire against Mbappe. Yet, Tom, Maguire has been outstanding. He's a different beast for England. A different beast altogether. The clock is beating us. I'm going to go off and watch the matches. I'm sure a lot of you are. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us for that half hour, mate. Look forward to there is a show next Monday, so I'll hopefully get you on then, mate. And have a good week, pal.
You too, mate. Cheers.
Good to see you, mate. Take care. I'm back tomorrow morning at 10:30 with Ross Gregory. So it's 10:30 till 11:30. Wednesday night at this moment in time will be Those Were the Days with George Mitchell, as I've got another bit of work to do on Wednesday. Thursday will be Supermac and Gibbo. That will be live, but it will be in the morning between 11 and 12. And then the Three Amigos is, as always, Friday night, 5:30 till 7:30. And that is live on Friday night. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the football. And I will see you bright and early, 10:30 tomorrow morning. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to all of you in the chat. Good night.